clinical text, which resonates to the pharmaceutical healthcare audiences. So this point of care is the moment, or the precise moment, when a sales representative sits across a pharmacist or for a physician or a clinicist or an oncologist and have only 90 seconds to make that conversation most valuable. Now let us understand how generative AI is transforming that conversation between pharma sales specialists and healthcare professionals. Uh, let me take you through the today's agenda for today's journey. Like, I will take you through all these agendas in next 30 minutes. We'll start with the opening hook, and then I'll talk about some commercial reality, some of the problems, and what are the different GenAI models like VAE, large language model, RAG, NLP, GAN, and then I will talk about some of the use cases, the real-time use cases in the industry for all of these models, and then I'll also talk about the daily day in life, how a typical sales specialist spend the day in the field, and how this GenAI is actually changing or helping the entire operations. And then also I'll talk about some challenges and ethics, and then with some future outlook as well. So let me start. So I want to start with the number $1.5 trillion. So this is the estimated global pharmaceutical revenue recorded in 2023. And yet, despite that extraordinary number, the industry survey shows consistently that only fewer than 30% of the HCP, which is healthcare professional interaction with the pharmaceutical sales representative, are rated as genuinely valuable. And genuinely valuable by the physicians from their end. So think about it, a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and the conversation that connects the life-saving therapies for the patients to the physicians who prescribes them is falling critically short. So this is definitely a big gap. Now the question is, can Gen AI close this bridge or close this gap? Yeah, not in theory, in real pharmaceutical companies and real pharmaceutical organization, and the real sales conversation that is happening today. So in next 30 minutes, I will take you to the abstract world of the large language model, RAG architecture, GN architecture, to the into the abstract and compliance-based HCP, real HCP facing real world of pharmaceutical commercial operations, and will show you precisely how intelligence, when applied at the point of care, can reshape the pharmaceutical HCP relationship. And I'll also take you through a single pharmacist in a single sales specialist on for his entire day spent in the field, and you will see that how generative AI is helping each moment of the day. Now let's talk about some of the commercial reality. So before I go even into that GenAI model, let's try to understand what is the commercial reality where the GenAI comes in the picture. Now, every single sales specialist or the pharmaceutical sales specialist who is in this business always face some three major challenges: access, compliance, and personalizations. Now, before that, let us first understand who is sales specialist. A pharmaceutical sales specialist is sometimes called as a medical science liaison or MSL or key account manager, depending on the organization structure. So they are responsible for building a good relationship with the panel of doctors and the healthcare professionals, and their ultimate goal is that all the physicians must be informed about the approved therapies, clinical trial data, dosing guidelines, safety profiles, and patient support data. So it sounds very straightforward, but it is not actually that straightforward. Like, the primary key challenges, the structural challenges every sales specialist faces, number one is the time scarcity. So it is observed that on average, physicians have only less than 30-90 seconds to visit any or to engage with the sales rep during the regular office visit. Now, 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 of course, if a sales rep is so produce or generate some generic features which just waste every second of it. So it is the next is the regulatory constraints. As you know that every pharmaceutical company is controlled by some regulatory organization or the agencies like FDA, Food Drug Administration in United States, and the European medical agencies in Europe. So they controls all this all the pharmaceutical companies. So any off-level information can cause a regulatory incident. And next one is a personalization gap. So it has been observed that HCPs are increasingly getting frustrated with the generic messaging. So that they don't want any generic messaging, they want some personalized, evidence-backed, and some clinically relevant data. Say, for example, a cardiologist who is managing 40 patients a day, and he doesn't want a generic deck. He wants something which is relevant for the treatment that he is offering to the patient, some customized and the evidence backed. So this is the environment, this is the environment where GenAI is entering. Now, in past decades, almost all pharmaceutical companies, they invested heavily in the CRM, which is customer relationship management, and Viva is one of the leading CRM application, and to track the all these sales rep and the HCV interactions. Now, this just give me 1 second. Okay. Now this, sorry about that. Now, but this application generates a lot of data, enormous data about the call planning and etc. But it doesn't actually transform the conversation itself. GenAI is something which works differently. It not only tracks the conversation, it also participates in preparing for it, and it supports in real time, and it also learn from afterwards. Meaning, whenever any conversation ended, even after the conversation ended, the call notes or the conversation that has happened with the healthcare professional, from there it learns from it and it generates some suggestions and the next best action from it. But underlying all this, there are certain mathematical and architectural pillars or the models which are there, which is actually deployed in the pharmaceutical industries and the commercial operations, which is powers all these capabilities. Let's talk through all these different models underlying Gen AI. So number one is the large language model. If you can see, so it is if you think of like a foundation of any Gen AI application which is used in pharmaceutical industry or pharmaceutical commercial model, it sits on a LLM, the large language model, and it is a transformer-based neural network which is trained on a massive text corpora. Okay, and this is in pharmaceutical context, LLM is something which allows the system to read about the physicians prescribing data, their recent research papers, and their therapeutic area and the clinical guidelines and the governing that area. And with all this information, what it does is it generates some medically accurate pre-call briefing for the sales specialist to before and preparing to visit the physicians. So basically, whenever any sales representative plans to visit a doctor, all these AI briefings is help him to plan properly. Now, a pure LLM has some limitations for every regulated pharma industry. Sometimes a fluent and confident text that generated by the LLM can lead to some incorrect information or incorrect drug indication, which may harm the patient's safety, and as well as it can expose the companies to the regulatory action. It also known as a hallucination. So RAG is the like a retrieval augmented generation, which addresses this issue by grounding this generative AI output in a curated and a verified knowledge base. So before generating the output, what RAG does is it retrieves only the relevant information about the doctors, like what is the prescribing trend and what is the clinical study that has happened regarding that product, regarding the drug, and what are the different approved promotional materials from the vector, and it searches all this information from the vector database, and then and after retrieving that information, it sends that output to the model, and then it passes to the MLR, which is the medical legal review process. And after there's a MSL, human MSL, who is sitting there and reviewing all this information before before it sends to the HCP. Now, if you look at this diagram, you will understand better. So why this RAG and LLM is so popular in pharma environment? If you look at this, when an HCP query in the AI assistant, ask any query to the AI assistant, and so about a drug indication or anything related to that. So LLM alone is always a risk, because there is always a safety concern, regulatory violation. But with the help of RAG, what it does is it is always looks for the approved level documents in the clinical study related to that particular field of mm, in a medication or the treatment, and it pulls all the relevant information, and then it passes that output to the human medical legal review, which is basically the trusted filter before the content reaches to the field. And this is how why this combination of RAG and LLM is so powerful in pharma commercial industry, especially, and it's a backbone of any GenAI tool which is currently being used in the industry. Now, moving back to the previous slide, we have some more critical models that are also very useful, like a generative adversarial network. So this is again there is another type of model which operates through some adversarial training of two neural network, like a generator, which learns to generate some sample data, synthetic data samples, and the discriminator, which learns to distinguish the generated samples from the real ones. So basically, what it does is, with the help of the generator and the discriminator, these pharmaceutical companies can produce some synthetic patient data generation. What is this? So basically, it is a de-identified patient data of the health record, which is used to train that AI model. So now the why we're using this, because whenever we train an AI model with a real HCP patient data, that will be always a privacy issue. And in US, there is a specific federal law. It's called HIPAA, which is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act in 1996, which always protects the sensitive medical information about the patient. So this, with the help of GAN, it helps the sales analytics model to be trained with a rich dataset without any privacy risk. The fourth pillar, or the fourth model that I'm going to describe, is a variational autoencoders. This is also a very helpful model which is used by the pharmaceutical companies for the HCP segmentation, generated the HCP segmentation and the persona modeling. So by encoding the behavioral, geographic, and the prescribing pattern of thousands of physicians into continuous latent space, it can identify the nuanced micro segments of the HCP. And it is not just the high prescriber or the versus low prescriber. It actually identifies the HCP persona out of this process, and it identifies which HCP is like responds to the peer competitor, or the patient's reactions, based on the drugs, etc. So basically, it's a process, or it's a model which can help to produce some persona modeling. And finally, the NLP. NLP is again a significant application of fine-tuned transformer models to the clinical and the commercial text. So it basically powers the real-time analysis of the HCP interaction, transcripts, call notes, and digital engagement signals. So basically, in in sales context, if you think of a natural language processing model, it just analyzes the post call notes. So whenever a sales representative done with the calls with the physicians, every single sales rep left some call notes or some emails from the HCPs. And what it does is it analyzes all these transcripts, whether it's a text or the audio transcripts, and then analyze the post call notes, and then it generates some HCP sentiments, and it produces some unresolved critical objections that is occurred during the conversation with the physicians, or flagging the compliance risk. So this is very important, especially for the post-call analysis whenever there's a large field which needs to be managed or needs to be coached by the manager. So it is very important to have this NLP in place model to do the post-call analysis. Now, let us uh, understand some of the real industry applications. So, all the models that we just talked about, let's discuss about some of the real applications in the industry. So, first one we'll talk about, which is very important one, is the pre-call intelligence briefing. So, basically, there are many pharma companies like a Pfizer, Novartis, or AstraZeneca. They have deployed some pre-call planning tools, GenAI powered pre-call planning tools. Which what it does is it produces some automatically generates some personalized intelligence briefing before the call. So HCP. So whenever the sales rep is plans to visit a HCP, this AI GenAI powered pre-call plan platform generates that intelligence briefing. It is a conversation intelligence briefing, which primarily looks at the HCP recent publications, any conference that the HCP attended, and it also looks for the prescribing trends, like what are the in the past 6 months or 3 months or 1 year, and all from the trusted pharmacy claim data from the trusted source like IQVIA, Symphony Health, or Health. So and also it analyzes all the previous interactions with the same doctor, and try to understand, okay, what is the unresolved clinical objections that the doctor or the doctor has raised. And then also it also analyzes what is the local formulary status, or what is the local treatment guidelines and for that particular drug, and etc. And also it looks for the approved messaging modules, and what are the approved promotional modules that is approved by the organization. And all this, and looking at all this information, it creates a compliance reviewed and a conversational guide. It's not just a script. So it's like a guidebook for the sales representative when before visiting the doctor. And this entire process is backed by a architecture, RAG architecture, on top of a fine-tuned LLM. And of course, as you saw that after an LLM is in the RAG architecture, there is another layer which is very important, which is the MLR layer, which is a medical legal review layer, which falls under that, and which basically is a safeguard for any regulatory content approval. And then it produces the compliance reward guide to the sales rep. And it has been observed that sales specialists using this AI briefing with the help of GenAI, it achieved 23% higher HCP engagement score versus the normal traditional CRM only planning. Next, I'll talk about some virtual medical science liaison. It is again another good example or good application of GenAI. Let's say if a doctor wants to know about some product or any off-level information about a drug in the off hours. 11 p.m. in the night. So the physician can send that request through a secured portal, and she can submit a medical information request, which is called the MIR. And once the and once the request is submitted, the GenAI retrieves the relevant medical information from the library, and it drops the response via the RAG architecture that we just learned. And after that, that response is sent to the human MSL for the human MSL review, and the medical science liaison who validates at the accuracy, completeness of the response, and then its response is dispatched to the doctor or the HCP, which is completely personalized and accurate. So basically, here what we learned here, that AI, it is not a full autonomy. It's a augmented intelligence. If the AI does the drafting, the human does the validations, and it checks the regulatory compliance and the completeness. And it has been observed over the time, the response time of any query which is submitted by the HCP or the healthcare professional, which used to take 3 to 5 days earlier, with the help of this GenAI, it takes like less than 4 hours. Next application, if we talk about some, we already spoke the dynamic content personalization. So in the traditional way, the content which is produced and showed to the doctor is a very static in nature. But the GenAI is enabled the dynamic content personalization feature. So Viva Vault Promomax, which is a leading content management application for in Viva. So they have collaborated with GenAI, and it can produce like personalized content for any specific doctor's specialty, in the doctor specialty, and it is observed that in with the 200 plus approved modules and assembled on a fly, it can generate millions of unique content presentation sequence tailored to the each HCP specialty. So what that means is that this content which is generated by GenAI, it is very unique and customized and dynamic based on the doctor's past history and the prescribing nature and etc. So, and also the other factors that you already discussed. And the next one is the synthetic data for the sales analytics. As you know about the GN architecture, which is the generative adversarial network. With this, it can produce some realistic HCP prescribing data sets that can be fed into the AI model to train the AI model without zero privacy risk. Like, of course, there are certain privacy rule which is governed by in every country, like HIPAA, which is in US, the health insurance privacy accuracy, and this privacy what we discussed is basically can be eliminated with the synthetic data analysis, synthetic data that can be generated by GN. And next, the final was a post-caller, the AI coaching and the compliance. So basically, this NLP is something which is very helpful, especially when the particular sales step is done with the call, and after the call is done, the HCP interaction ends. The sales manager always faces challenges to follow up with the calls and all the call notes and review the call notes, etc. It is very difficult. So NLP is engine and analyzes all the call notes and then all the interaction transcripts and etc. And it looks for the key clinical topics discussed and the HCP objectives which is raised by the doctor, and if there any potential off-level risk, the risk flag that is for the compliance view and compliance review, and if there is any missed opportunity that is discovered during the call. And also it also generates some gives some recommended next best action for the following interactions. And it has been observed that with this post-call AI coaching, 28% of the reduction in the complaints flag in introduction for last 6 months. Now, now let me take you to the little macro level where we will see how we will see a complete day spent in the field by a specific uh, sales specialist who is a who actually takes the help of all these GenAI powered features. Like for example, here let's say Sarah is a oncology sales specialist, uh, and she manages 47 oncologists in her territory, and her off-level product is PDL1 to treat the non-small cell lungs cancer disease, and she promotes this product, this um, uh, drug, and then and once she opens her lab, iPad, and opens the sales platform app in the morning 6:30. So for what the first thing that she review is the AI morning briefing, which is generated by the Gen AI powered CRM app. And what it does is, without even looking at her calendar, she can see, okay, what are the calls which is scheduled for today. Like let's say she has a four HCP four calls today, two calls with the oncologist in the cancer center, one with the community pulmonologist, and one with the pharmacy and the therapeutic committee in a regional hospital. So she doesn't need to care about, okay, look at the calendar. So this CRM application powered by GenAI can generate all this information for her, and then and AI will prepare has prepared them for individual HCP intelligence card, and a complete conversational flow for her. And what is this intelligence card means? Let's say she has an appointment with a Dr. Raghavan at 10:15, and he is a senior oncologist. And but when he looks at the AI briefing, and she found that AI surfaces some interesting fact about Dr. Raghavan. So and the number one um, uh, is that the Dr. Raghavan has co-authored a poster at ASU, which is the American Society of Clinical Oncology, in the previous month, for the treatment of for the NSCLC, and also she introduced two nurse practitioners who can independently diagnose this disease. And also and in the past three conversations with Dr. Raghavan, there's a question, unresolved question about the drug efficacy of the PD-L1 low expression. So all these facts which she didn't even know, but it appeared in the complete conversation flow. So with that conversation flow, she reviewed it, and she prepped herself for the call, and then and once she met with the doctor at 10:15, and she created a dynamic content and the presentation out of this conversational flow, and the doctor was really impressed to see that ASU poster on her presentation, which acknowledging his research, and with the all supporting subgroup data for the PDL1. However, Dr. Raghavan has a question about the combination therapy sequencing, which is not covered in the current approved level of the product. And Sarah has accepted it. And what she does is she submitted a medical information request on behalf of the doctor in a secure portal, and she mentioned that the answer will be returned in 48 hours from the MSL. And the and with the help of AI, this medical request is automatically filled with the draft and with the information of the question raised by the doctor, and it will be submitted in just 2 taps. And next, at 1:30, she has another meeting with the pharmacy and therapeutic committee, to review and the formulary inclusion of the product. And so Sarah has only 15 minutes to present that, and she and the AI, and what it does is in overnight it generate a report, and the hospital specific health economic model report, which is specific to the hospital, and it covers all the real world evidence overlay, and this really helps the committee to review the formulary status of the product. And this report this model which is generated by the AI, it is not generic, it is specific to the hospital. So it pulls all the published redemption rate of for NLCLC, local payer mix, and the patient data of that hospital, and it generates that report. And at the end of all four calls, she done with all four calls, and she ended up submitting all her call notes, and and post that call notes, the NLP engine processes all her call notes and all the conversation that she has with with doctors, and all the transcripts, whether it's a text or whether it's an audio transcript. It reads all the call notes of the entire day, and then it identifies that PDL low expressive questions has now appeared in all three interactions with the Dr. Raghavan, and it is a high priority content gap for the medical affair liaison to review. So, and also it generates some coaching summary which tells her what is the best thing that he did in the day, and what is the things that they can improve on. Let's say, for example, the patient support program. He could have explained that earlier to the PT committee to get that get it approved early. So also it can also suggest some learning modules for the formulary negotiation technique for her for the upcoming calls. So this is how this post call coaching helps for the next best action, and and what are the learnings, and what are the flags, or what are the unresolved questions that arise during the call. It can create a complete summary for the sales rep as well as her manager. Now, let's also talk through about some of the challenges, ethics, and compliances. As you know, that every piece of content generated by Gen AI in pharmaceutical promotions construct is subject to FDA and EMA. So so FDA is a regulated regulated who has to always approve any content, any content or the on level content about a product or a drug. This means that every GenAI generated piece of a promotional content must pass through the medical legal review before it reaches to the HCP. Companies investing heavily in automated MLR, medical review regulatory workflow tools that integrate with the AI assistant, pre-screening before the human review. But this human review is not an optional. It cannot be bypassed. So regulatory compliance is always a concern for GenAI outputs. So it always has to pass through the MLR or the medical review process. Without this, it could be a compliance issue. Second, challenges we have already discussed about the hallucination risk. So as you know, the RAG architecture is actually grounded the GenAI output with a curated and a knowledge base, trusted knowledge base, but it cannot eliminate completely. So it cannot. So in pharma, hallucinated drug indication claim or a incorrect dosing statement is not a inconvenience. It's a patient's safety issue, a risk or a regulatory violation for that company. So hallucination is a big risk, always a risk in this case. Plus, we have also learned about some another challenges on the data privacy. So whenever any analytical AI model needs to be trained, it has to be trained with some prescribing data and the patient population profiles. and that always sits in the intersection of commercial and the clinical data. And there are different organizations like a HIPAA, which is a Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Safeguard provisions defines what can be used in, and even in Europe, the General Data Protection Regulation Article 9, it also governs on which information can be used, which is the approved level, and etc. So whenever there is a AI training data sets that are used, that must be de-identified, and always the synthetic data generation process, there is a process needs to be validated, and without this, it could be a huge data privacy issue. And also, there is one more challenge issue that can very often occur. Is algorithmic bias. So it's something like when the AI system or the AI model is trained with predominantly with a high volume of urban HCP data that can easily underperform the rural or the tier 3 market prescriber data. So let's say if a personalized engine calibrated on a behavioral patterns on the high prescribing on oncologist at academic medical center, that might generate an irrelevant recommendation for a community physician who practices in the tier 3 or a rural area. So this algorithmic bias is always a challenge for any AI based architecture. Now let's look at some of the future outlook for next 4 to 5 years. So as we go along, so there are we can see some more developments around this Gen AI, which will reshape the HCP and farmer relationship. So number one is the agentic AI in commercial operations. So as we move along, the shift from the AI tool, which is something that human uses, it can move to AI as an agent. So something that take an action autonomously on behalf of a human. It is already underway. So in commercial operation means an AI agent can take an action on behalf of the sales specialist. It can manage the portfolio of an AI agent, and it can initiate proactively schedule the schedule interaction. You can initiate the MI walkthrough and dynamically rebalance the territory coverage without even waiting for human instruction. So in future, probably by in next 3 to 4 years, we can see that the sales specialist, they are managing the AI agent who is working for them or for their behalf, not just the AI tools which is responding to the queries. So the AI agent will be managed by the sales specialist. And next feature horizon could be the multimodal. Like right now, all the systems potentially is a text-based or the structural database, but when in tomorrow it could be multimodal. It will be multimodal. That means the AI can analyze the physician's reaction during the virtual detail and through the concentrated engagement signals. So it can adopt the presentation in the real time. It can generate the 3D molecular visualization on demand and synthetic patient case and tailored to each physician's specific portal. So this is again is a transformative move that can happen in the future. And the last one is the federated learning and the privacy preserving AI. So the privacy challenges I described earlier will be addressed at scale through federated learning architecture, where AI models are trained locally on a distributed dataset with only the model updates and never raw data shared centrally. And this will unlock the ability to train far richer and more representative model across global HCP networks without centralizing the sensitive data. So only the gradients data shared centrally, and this is a very critical for emerging markets, including India and any other regions. So this federated learning is also will slowly remove the data privacy and challenges that we saw in the previous slides. So with that said, that concludes the speech, and I sincerely thank you, the AITAM Institute of Technology, for inviting me for this speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that valuable speech. Any questions from the students end? Any queries? Sir, I have a doubt on that. Just a small query. How the 3D AI visualizations impact the patient's details and all? Still, how can we elaborate the net tax? If any case of heart diseases or something.
3D. Sorry, can you come again with your question again? Sorry, I just missed that part.
Actually, in the last slide of your PPT, you already explained the 3D visualizations, right?
Right. So basically, it's a molecular visualization.
Visualization.
So right, so basically, what it does is so right now, uh, all AI models is trained on a is a text based. So on a clinical text. Say for example, when we input or ask any questions or any ask for suggestions to the AI assistants, which is trained on a clinical data, it always looks for the text based data. But in future, it is going to that direction where any 3D visualization that also can be achieved, especially the molecular level, the molecular visualization can also be achieved. And um, um, it is always a better view for the doctors in taking any decision for for any treatment.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Practical advice would you give to the faculty members and all the students who are belongs to not technical such as like mechanic and civil branches?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. It's very hard to hear your voice. Sorry.
What practical advice would you give to the faculty members and what practical advice would you give to faculty members and postgraduate research who want to start research in AI, but they belongs to non-computer background such as the mechanic or civil level? That's the message.
I think the best way to start with the machine learning algorithm and think from that perspective. Like if we start with basic Python programming or the machine learning, that should be the starting point, I believe. And if we can build small like application which will like a machine learning based application which will predict any images or any kind of patterns based on the data set that you provided. Like it could be not just like for example today I spoke about like related to pharma, right? Pharma industries. It could be to any world. It could be retail, or it can be banking, or it could be data security, anywhere. So I think it would be better if you can start with the machine learning based algorithm So that way we can pursue more in the future in this area.
It's not with the machine learning, but it is machine learning starting is hard to the non-computer background for any services.
I mean, it's nothing to do with the computer or non-computer background. It's like it's a concept. So first we need to learn about the conceptually what it does and what is the algorithm, etc. So I mean, if you think from logically, if you have a background of a like programming background, right? Even it doesn't matter whether you're a non-computer background, still you can learn the machine learning technique and the basic Python programming, which is like a other programming language. So if you can just start the learning about the MIML, AIML, programming using Python, etc., then you can slowly you know grasp and understand about the machine learning technique.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insightful and inspiring keynote address. We sincerely appreciate you for taking the time to join us virtually and share your valuable knowledge and experience with us. Your presentation has been truly enlightening and will undoubtedly inspire all of us who are from technical and non-technical backgrounds also. So
Thank
it's
you.
my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee. First and foremost, I express my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Soumen, for delivering his address on the topic of intelligence at a point of care, generative AI reshaping life sciences, commercial operations, and healthcare professional engagement. Thank you, sir, for such a delivering valuable knowledge and expertise with us on that topic. And also now I extended my sincere gratitude to our respected session chairs, Professor M.V. Ratnamani Garu, Head of the Department CSE Allied Branches, DSH, and Dr. Santosh Kumar Dubba, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering and Central Project Coordinator, for their valuable guidance and conducting this session so effectively. I also extended my sincere thanks to the organizing chair, D.V. Ramana sir, and the convener of this event, Professor D. Sriramulu Garu, and co-convener T. Naresh sir, for arranging this session with yours, sir. And I also extended my sincere thanks to all the participants for their enthusiastic presence and active participation for the conducting of this event. I also conclude my vote of thanks with this. Thank you for have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Just wait for a second. As the session is going well, in the presence of our session chairs, Dr. Santosh and Professor M.V. Ratnamani ma'am, as a token of respect, the organizing committee is giving the mementos. So I request Professor Ratnamani ma'am and Dr. Santosh Kumar to I request Professor please. I request Associate Professor D. Santosh Kumar to kindly come to the dais, and I request our region R&D and the government of 2026 to continue the program. My request Professor M.P. Ratnamani ma'am to comments in the comment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
సెమినార్కి నెత్తలేదు నన్ను అటెండెన్స్ చూస్తాను
ఆహా ఏం అవ్వలేదు నేను మీ ఇద్దరికి థ్యాంక్స్ చెప్పి మళ్ళీ వన్ బై వన్ పిలుస్తాను మళ్ళీ సార్ కంగారు పెట్టి ఒకరికి నేను ఎవరికి పంపించాలి శ్రీరామ్ సార్ తీసేనా ఈ చక్ర పని తెచ్చేస్తున్నాను ఇచ్చేయండి హ్యాండ్ విత్ కేర్స్ అసలు మొదలు పడిపోయింది
అసలు సంక్రాంతి